Rise and shine, sinister citoyen. The bells of Paris toll, though not for you. Not yet. Bold onyx wings cry out the news of the day. Death. More death. You stretch stiff fingers, crashed from rope and rain, and slip on the same red coat your father wore. The coat is less garment than inheritance, less choice than chain. For in France, the office of executioner is born, not chosen. Passed father to son, scaffold to scaffold, name to name. You are feared and revered as Monsieur de Paris, elegant in title, exiled in truth. Breakfast is a silent communion, broken only by the winter wind, a cruel, lonely guest who shrieked of the sombre years of 1793, rattling the window panes with a ghost's lament. A heel of stale bread, a mouth of thin wine. This is more food in one meal than most of Paris has seen in weeks. The baker sells to you, but not with a smile. Neighbours nod without warmth. Mothers drag children to the other side of the street. You chew alone while the city roars outside. And on your table, the day's list. Ink still wet. Names. Always names. Names enough to fill a nave. Each a story. Each a member of God's chosen flock. Each waiting for your hand. You leave before the sun is fully awake. Paris breathes smoke and rotten cabbage, river and rumour. The streets unspool like a grey ribbon toward the square. The scaffold looms there, rising from the cobbles like a blunt cathedral. Its timbers creak. Its pins shine with grease. You test the blade's catch, measure its weight, feel its balance. Once, death was theatre. Swords that slipped, axes that missed, mercy measured in muscle. But you argued for a machine, equal, efficient, impartial. A mechanism that would not tremble, would not sweat, would not falter. They named it for a doctor, but it is you who knows its temperament. The stubborn hinge in winter, the oak that swells after rain, the rope that frays under repetition. You are its keeper, its craftsman, its confidant. By mid-morning, the crowd gathers. Fishwives with baskets, apprentices with elbows like knives, ragged children gnawing crusts, gentlemen of yore hiding fear beneath filthy lace cuffs, all eyes fixed on you. Some with awe, some with disgust, all with hunger. You are their fascination and their fig leaf. They depend on your depravity so they can pretend to be clean. 10 a.m. on a January morning is about the bleakest hour that there is in general. Under control of Robespierre, it has a hammering gravity. Hammering still the drums, primal rhythm, mimicking a heart running wild for Louis XVI, once a king, climbed towards the guillotine. Though his face held a priest's quiet resolve, his body betrayed him with a mortal's tremble. He tried to give a final, fatherly benediction to the crowd, but the relentless percussion of the drums swallowed his last words, deaf to all dialogue. Your hands, calloused and committed, tightened the bindings on his royal wrists, and your gaze, a cold and practiced thing, refused to wonder, refusing to witness the end of an era. The flashing blade, a punctuation of cruel iron, interrupted his prayer. A terrible, final fall. The sickening, dull thud of his head severed from his body. A weight dropping. A cheer, sharp as glass, shattered the air, but fractured instantly into a silence heavier than any stone in Paris. France was reborn in that sound. France was orphaned. Your gaze still fixed, you wiped the steel clean, knowing, with a grim certainty, that the red list of names would not shorten. The clock ticks in a fog. Days bleed into weeks, weeks into months. The tribunal, a parasite of suspicion, feeds on fear. The iron-rimmed wheels of the tumbrel are the soundtrack of the city, a ceaseless, rattling march to the square. Your ledger, a document of damnation, tallies 3,000 souls in just over a year. An average of 7, sometimes 8, heads fall every day. The mud-caked boots of the working poor, the unlettered men with no defence, are offered up. The perfume priests who chose the wrong masters are now just as damned. The mothers with nothing left but the ghosts of their starved children find no solace. The playwrights and old friends who spoke truth to power are condemned. The journalists, many of them women, who dared to print more than state-sanctioned lies are silenced. A procession of martyrs to steel and to blood. Tick, fall, tick, fall. Then comes the law of 22 Prairial, 1794. With the passing of this law, all human rights were eviscerated as if Thanos had just snapped his finger. Robespierre and the council did not believe things were moving fast enough, or perhaps bloody enough, and with the passing of this edict of expedition, the accused were not able to have defence counsel, and deaths could be dealt with a quill instantly, and with less rhyme and reason as a conspiracy theorist grocery list. In 47 days, Paris devours 1,366 names. That is 20, sometimes 30 each day, majority by your hands. The guillotine is no longer justice, no longer theatre. It is arithmetic, appetite, industry. And you? You are its accountant, its artisan, its unwilling priest. And Paris, obscene Paris, makes fashion from fear. Hair shorn short in the Coiffier Les Victimes, necks bared as if in invitation, crimson ribbons tied tight at the throat, mocking the steel's kiss. Red coats a new fashion statement to Vogue allegiances. Terror becomes trend. Fashion feasts on blood. But you are never invited. Your coat is the wrong red. The lists grow stranger. The revolution begins to eat its own. Names that once sat in judgment now tremble in tumbrils. Danton, Delemeuse, Saint-Just, and then, irony sharpened like steel, Robespierre, the incorruptible. Once he thundered against the death penalty, swearing the state must not kill what it forbids its citizens to kill. But principle rots when power ripens. His list swelled, his mercy narrowed. Until July 1794, when his name is written not as judge, but judged. Your former boss arrived bound, his jaw shattered, bandaged in vain. When the wrappings slip, the sound that escapes is not a speech, but an angry, blood-curdling scream, the only honest oration the city has heard in months. As he lowers his head, your subconscious lowers yours. The blade answers swiftly. The applause that follows is not for justice, it's for relief. It is for bread. It is for silence at last. Evening falls. You trudge home, sleeves heavy with rain and iron, pockets heavy with coin, conscience heavy with silence. No tavern welcomes you. No friend extends a hand. You are the Republic's necessary obscenity, the city's secret it refuses to keep. You may have a family, but it's a solitary life. The more separate they are from you, the more they can attempt to live some sense of normality. Your oldest son will inherit the business of butchery, as you did yourself. But until that time, it's just you, isolated in existence's irony. And still, in your ledger, there is this. You spared France the agony of botched deaths, the axe that missed, the sword that slipped. You stripped nobility of its last privilege. The guillotine was impartial. Kings, queens, pamphleteers, priests, mothers, thieves, all equal at the edge of its blade. Not redemption, not mercy, only equality in execution. Without the reign of terror, the thunder fades. Extremism can only last so long, and social change is more stable when it doesn't come with systemic slaughter. Crowds thin. The city remembers food, frivolities, rent, report. Candlelit nights receives you like a confessional that cannot grant absolution. The tools are cleaned. The ledger is closed but not finished. They called you their equalizer, their monster, their myth. You were none of these things. You were just a function born to serve, built to kill, and ultimately cast aside. You were the hand no one shook, a ghost that passed through the Republic's dirty work untouched. And in the end, fate played its cruelest joke. For all the dismay you delivered, your own end was shockingly peaceful. You simply got old. Time became your penance, a slow replay of every order, every regret you told yourself you didn't have. One day, the real